Joel Embiid has done it again. After his third straight MVP caliber season, and this season, the season that he actually wins the MVP, he comes up short in the playoffs. Now, I think everybody saw the game last night. I don't really need to go into depth of how disgusting Joel Embiid was. He didn't show up at all. He finished the game with 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks, shooting 27% from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Overall in the game, he was a minus 28 with a 36% true shooting percentage. The craziest thing about that game 7 as a minus 28 is that the Sixers led for most of the first half. And he ends the game while being a 28-point deficit to his team. That is unbelievable from an MVP. As a whole this playoffs, Joel Embiid was nothing like his regular season self. Again, a recurring theme. Now, if you look at all the other previous MVPs, they've had their moments. Now, look at Giannis this postseason. He wasn't good, very disappointing. But if we look at Jokic, the MVP right after him, Jokic has had a great postseason run so far. Now he's in the Western Conference Finals. And Joel Embiid is still the only MVP ever to not make the conference finals.
You can't win alone. I can't win alone. Me and James, we just can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So, we just need everybody to just, try to keep finding ways to get better, and, we'll be fine.
If you see a guy who averaged 33 points per game, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks per game in the regular season with a true shooting percentage above 65, you know he's a superstar. But when it comes to the playoffs, if you put up those numbers in the regular season and you're not Joel Embiid, you'll be a superstar in the playoffs as well. But if you're Joel Embiid, you're not. He has really fallen off in the playoffs, and it's been a recurring theme. To me, the funniest thing about this collapse is that Joel Embiid actually had a lot of his odds in his favor. If you looked at the Boston Celtics, the previous round, the one before this one, they went 6 games against an Atlanta Hawks team that was really just Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. And the Sixers swept the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets were obviously a better seed than the Hawks because the Hawks finished 8th. But not only that, the Brooklyn Nets were probably a better team as a whole. Mikal Bridges was playing better in the second half than Trae Young was playing. There was so much depth on the Brooklyn Nets, while the Atlanta Hawks were very shallow. There were a lot of positives to what the Brooklyn Nets did, and they get swept by Joel Embiid. And however, a struggling Boston Celtics team, a team where Jason Tatum went 5 for 21 in Game 6, pulls out this series after having a 3-2 deficit after 5 games. To me, when I saw the 76ers win on the road in Game 5, I thought the series was done. I thought Joel Embiid would make his first conference finals, and even though he wasn't too great statistically, as his career high in the playoffs this year was his points per game average in the regular season at 33, I thought they had a good chance at actually making the finals, considering they play a beat-up Heat team. A team that Jimmy Butler, now the superstar of that team, has had ankle problems and even sat out large portions of games. And to add the cherry on top to all of that, to make the East look even weaker, the biggest and most opposing threat in the East all year long was the Milwaukee Bucks. And what happens to them? Well, they go out in 5 in the first round, the first 1 seed to ever lose to an 8 seed in the first round while going less than 7 games. This is how ugly the East was. So now the Celtics have a great chance of making the finals, and I'm not saying the Heat will not make the finals because I'm a big Heat fan. But look, the East is wide open. Out of all years to capitalize on it, Joel Embiid, right now is your time. And just getting to the finals alone, not even winning it, is good enough to solidify yourself as a valid MVP. You don't even need to win the finals, and we should probably catch Nikola Jokic against in the finals. And if you beat him, then you have the bragging rights against Jokic forever. But yet again, we will not see Joel Embiid play in June. In the second half of that game against the Boston Celtics, when the Boston Celtics were only up 2 points at halftime, Joel Embiid finishes the second half 1 for 6 from the field, 2 points in 17 minutes while being a negative 23. Joel Embiid simply did not bring it. Now, to have a good legacy in the NBA, you have to show up in the playoffs. There's other sports to where it doesn't matter too much. Barry Bonds, widely considered the greatest player that the MLB has ever seen, is never chastised for his inability to win a championship. But everybody knows the reason why he didn't win the championship. He didn't have enough help. And in certain circumstances, you could say Joel Embiid was in the same category. Not as good as Barry Bonds player for player in their respective sports, but he did lack help. The first season that he was an MVP caliber player and he finished second in MVP voting, Ben Simmons had a horrible playoffs as well as Tobias Harris. The year after that, James Harden completely disappeared in a deciding elimination game. And this year, although Joel Embiid didn't have the best help all around, he was a player that let down his team. To add on to that, if you look at every single season which Joel Embiid has been an MVP caliber player, and then you look at his playoff stats, they have all dropped every single season. This recurring theme will kill the legacy of an NBA player. Although it's not too important for other sports, in the NBA, it's all there is. When we talk about playoffs, high-level players literally miss 15 to 20 games a season just to prepare for the playoffs. Even when the playoffs is months away, they just try to do it to make sure they stay healthy because they know that's the only thing that is going to decide their fate and how much money they're going to get paid and where they will end on the all-time ranking list. So as a player, Joel Embiid has completely tarnished his reputation. From a guy who looked like he should have won the MVP over Jokic, maybe even twice, like Sixers fans have told me and told you and told everybody, now he is arguably an undeserving MVP. A lot of people say MVP is a regular season award, and I agree with that. But when it comes to the playoffs, if you don't show up in the playoffs, you won't win another MVP. That's what the NBA does. If you don't show up, they're not giving you an MVP. It's happened to multiple players. Tracy McGrady, who was an MVP candidate for many years, never got an MVP for one reason, that he couldn't get out of the first round. So does this make Joel Embiid an invalid MVP winner? To me, it does, because you have to show out in the playoffs since every other superstar ever is held to that standard. But anyway, guys, tell me your reactions on this video, your reactions on Joel Embiid. Who do you think is going to win the conference finals in both sides? Right now it's Nuggets versus Lakers and Celtics versus Heat. Again, the same thing as 2020. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Hey, come on, I got a bag on me. You try to take it, leave you stinking like your last homie. She kinda cakey, little baby, put that ass on me. But I ain't that horny, do you got some cash for me? Why every time you ask him that, bitches act funny? And you keep trying to hold the strap, you won't slap for me. You too happy, I can tell you never had money. Every time you get on live, gotta flash money.